Hello, I'm Oral Gibbs, and welcome to Oral Gibbs Live. When we come back, you'll find out more about tonight's program after these messages. The Windward Island Bank. Windward Island Bank in Phillipsburg, in Cul-de-sac, and also in Simpson Bay. For all your banking needs, it's the Windward Islands Bank. And GEBE, our local water and electricity company. GEBE, serving St. Martin for over 6 decades, is GEBE. And I'm Oral Gibbs here with you, and my guest of the program is the leader of the USP party. It's Gordon Carter. How you doing?
How are you doing, Mr. Oral?
I'm fine, thank you. How things going with you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm giving thanks to the Lord for life and for being there for my family and giving me strength to continue.
Okay. So what's the latest? Because I heard you've been making a lot of people nervous these days
Nervous? Why? Why
with
would
your
that
quota.
be? Why would that be?
Your proposed law on employment of youngsters and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. Yeah.
Okay, there is no reason to be nervous, Mr. Oral. I think what people have to realize is that there are issues that we have to deal with, and we cannot tackle all of them at the same time. So I do understand that it have other issues that basically the people will want to see solved as well, like the 6 months contracts, the pension from the elderlies. But there are things that you have to take it in a sequence in the sense of if you have unemployment, right, amongst youngsters, youngsters are dependable on us who are there already, the frontliners, the older ones that have been pushing the cart and, taking the country to the next level.
Right.
Then it's only logical for us to look back and try to get that issue solved. And then we move along because, yes, it have those that are employed. I can understand the necessity with a 6 months contract, but at least you are employed. So there will reach a point where, after dealing with certain employment issues, that eventually we have to tackle it because it's a point that we have to tackle and deal with it. Because at the end of the day, you find that because of having that 6 months employment contract, that your social and your social development is stagnated. Also, as a family, you cannot plan because you do not know what is the future and different other things that comes learning around that 6 months contract. So that's one of the examples. But when you look at the youth, Mr. Gibbs, you can see that there is a frustration amongst our youth. And also when you hear the different businesses, what they are looking for. I mean,
Right.
everybody can look in the see in the newspaper that they are looking for experienced people and with so many years of experience and things like that. And then you wonder, how are these youngsters going to manage if the requirements of certain
Yeah.
jobs have these high stipulations for them to get even come in aanmerking. So I just say that we as a community, we as a society, we have to take care of the youngsters. We have to start to make room, because sometimes you have as well that businesses have for years they have managers are sitting in the position and they are not passing on the knowledge to younger ones or those below them. It's like they are thinking that they are going to be there forever. You see that as well in the government apparatus. Yes, we have the counterpart policy, but we all know that that has not been really reinforced. The counterpart policy has actually been there as a form, as a sort of protection for our people. So when we are bringing in people from overseas with the so-called expertise, that eventually our people take over. But we already know that that is not the
So
case.
that's been there for over 2 decades now.
Yes, it has been there. So when you see these type of things, Mr. Gibbs, and you realize that how the society is developing and the different work permits that are being signed, I was there, so I can speak from experience, not from hearsay. When you see the work permits that are being signed for things that I just say, where is our people? And you know that the unemployment is there. The figures that are registered at the labor office for unemployment, we know that they are not representative, because when walking in the community and you talk to the younger generation, they will tell you, when you ask them, have you registered yourself at the labor office? They will tell you no, because they do not trust the system. And that's the answer of many of them. So we know that the unemployment rate that is registered at the labor office is far from the truth. So the children are out there, the youth, I will say, is out there, and they are struggling for themselves. You are seeing more and more youth that are walking on the streets and talking to themselves, and you can see it in every district. Basically, you're seeing more and more faces. Now, it's not all the time that is because of unemployment that they, get into that state, but unemployment is a factor that contributes to a state of mind, a mental state of mind of someone as well. Because if someone have plans, someone have to eat, they have the basic necessities that they have to cover, and they do not see the way that they can, reach to that, and no way to go, no door to knock on to get that help, then basically it reached to a point that they can become desperate, and then you see them taking the road. So it have many signs that are given in the society that I believe that we as a business community, I consider myself part of the business community, that we have to give that helping hand, to the youngsters. And on the other end, I believe government, in the fact that the different facilities and the handouts to these youngsters are not there, the network is not in place. I think that the right thing to do is, if you are asking for the business sector to assist you in that, then there's a sort of compensation that has to be given in return.
I want to hold that thought for a while, because I want to go back a little bit so my audience get a better understanding of who you are. Okay. You served as Minister of
ASA, which is Health, Social Development, and Labor. That was the interim minister in the year 2019 to 2020. It was a short period. We was awaiting elections, and then after elections, the formation was gets to be with the party of UP and the NA. And now I am the new leader of the USP party after I left office.
You also was sitting in for the Minister of Theatre.
Yes.
At the time, right?
Yes, I was sitting for Minister Melissa Doncher, and she was sick during her period. Then afterwards, she came back for a month, but we already had to leave office. So yes, I was the deputy for the deputy of Ministry of Theatre as well.
So you got to see a clear picture.
Yeah.
Of the good and the bad in these ministries.
Yes.
I'm sure there's good and there's a lot of bad.
Yes.
Probably I shouldn't say a lot of bad. But
there is good and bad in everything, Mr. Oral. But like they just say, the good, you don't need to change the good. If the good is working already, leave it as is. You can improve on it, of course. Yeah. But the bad is what we have to tackle right about now. But how do we tackle the bad? Sometimes people fail to realize that it have been years that nothing has not happened. So when they start seeing changes happen, they expect things to happen the way they are seeing it. But in the aspect of unemployment, when it comes to labor, you have to start with the younger generation first, because they are more vulnerable than, I would say, than the 6 months contractors. Okay. Those that have in 6 months, because at least they have something. They can always get prolonged with another 6 months contract. But those that are unemployed and that are in a playing ground that is not fair to them because of the different requirements that are being requested for different functions, that I would say that sometimes I do not see it, feasible for somebody that just finished graduating, for them to have that type of experience.
All right, I'm leading up to something here, and that is for my audience to get a clear picture of why you're proposing this law, because you're a businesswoman also.
Yes, for 26 years.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'm an accountant by profession. I have a 2 master's degree. I have a master's degree in finance and accounting and a master's degree in economics. And I started up my business very young, very young. Basically, I would say at the age of 20 years, I started up my business, and I have grown it into. I branch it out into St. Martin. I still have it in Curacao, so I branch it out in St. Martin in 2010, and I deal on a daily basis with customers, from micro customers to large businesses. And of course, you have different type of scenarios. You hear different type of ailments within the businesses. You deal with that, and you can see that you get a feel for both sides. And what is interesting for me is when I was a minister, and with the experience that I have as an accountant dealing with financial issues of the company, you get a better feel of what you have to look for and where is the hole that you need to deal and tackle with. And that's why I was very, very much focused on the labor aspect, because I know that is one of our problems. And if you're ever going to fix the economy of a country, you need to tackle that as one of the priorities, because at the end of the day, the cycle, the economical cycle, the financial cycle can only be achieved when you have sufficient people that is contributing into that buffer, into that budget. So basically, you have to tackle it in a sense that there is a control in place. Yes, you have illegals that are working, and I would say taking over jobs from people that are here, that are entitled to the job. But at the end of the day, what are they contributing? Are they contributing into the coffers? Because once you know that they are illegal, you know that they're not contributing to the tax coffers as it's supposed to be. On the other end, you have that why would you want to increase on the illegals if you have people that are basically causing a burden to the society, because some of them will have to go on understand, they will have to get welfare, others will the social deterioration is increasing. They have, like, for instance, children that go into school that they have to cover their school fees. It have so many things that come luring around it, that it's something that you cannot ignore. You need to tackle it in order for it to have a positive trickle-down effect. So to come back to my function, I believe that, like, for instance, we have some customers that we are dealing with for years, right? And we have access to their account in the sense of the trust that they have given us. And we have been dealing and doing the payroll, paying their salaries through their accounts and things like that. So we have access to their accounts for years, and we're doing things right in the proper way. Now, my thing is, when you see a business that has been generating like a X amount of dollars in a month, and then for one or the other reasons, it can be because of the pandemic, because of the hurricane, whatever reason, and the revenue goes down, and having to lay off the personnel, you are in direct contact with that phenomenon. You are seeing it, you are experiencing it. It's not like something that you are hearing people talking about it. You have to still manage to say, hey, do not leave them, do not send them home as yet, let's do something else. You are becoming part of that thinking process on how to leave as much people on the job as possible. So it's not something that, because it's difficult, Mr. Gibbs, for you to send home a mother or a father of a family that they have expenses to pay. They have mortgage to pay, they have rent to pay, they have school fees, they have to feed their family. It's a very difficult situation. And when you see that maybe sometimes the ones that are working, that are the sole providers in the home, that basically they reach to an age that they cannot, or because of sickness, they cannot contribute. And then the younger generation have to take on that responsibility, and they still ain't getting that help from the society. It's something very difficult. It's something very difficult for you to just swallow and not do anything. Because it have a lot of young generation that are taking care of their parents that lose jobs, and that amount is increasing.
So, when I ask you about serving as a minister and then your professional uh, business experience, you was gonna mention the benefit to business when it comes to this proposal that you had for youngsters getting employment in this particular business.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to go back to that.
Yes, like for instance, I take the liberty to print out a report that I get from the Chamber of Commerce. It's online, everybody can see it. And I was checking because before I do anything, Mr. Gibbs, I just check with my legal team and have these type of discussions before we go into anything. And one of my lawyers is basically from Curacao. She was also she served as a prime minister from the Netherlands Antilles, which is Miss Susie Camelia Reumer, which will also be on the panel discussion that we have this Wednesday regarding the labor proposal, the labor law proposal. And we were discussing certain things, and she said, well, Pamela, you know, we have this other law, the Beyond Law, on Curacao, and it's active, and we can maybe combine something like that for St. Martin. So we just have discussions in order for us to formulate something and bring it to suit the situation of country St. Martin. And why I just say I relate back to Curacao, because it have a lot of laws, Mr. Gibbs, that were in the previous Netherlands Antilles that were not brought over when St. Martin become with the 10-10-10. So a lot of the laws.
That's the beneficial ones, because it seems like they had everything well planned out.
Yes.
Because the laws that are beneficial to the people of this island were never transferred.
Yes, they were not transferred. And even when I was a minister, I realized that a lot of laws were not transferred. And those are the ones that I took and I put on the side, because the intention was to continue working on those and making sure that country St. Martin has something that can guarantee for the future of the generation that is coming. Because you always have to remember, you're not there to stay, but you have to make the play field as leveled as possible and provide a better opportunity for our children, for the generation that is coming. People fail to realize sometimes when they sit down on that chair, it's like they do not want to leave. They want to, stay there forever.
Right.
But you have to remember that you have to improve. With every government that sits, things have to become better for the generation that is coming. It cannot be that you're not doing anything, no laws are being passed, and you know what is the situation. And that's one of the reasons why we as a party as well, we are going to be proposing the laws, and with the intention that when we go in, Mr. Gibbs, that we have these laws executed. We are not going to be sitting down and having discussions with our legal team just to sit down and have discussions.
Well, you said the key word there, because you can have a million laws, but if they're not executed,
Exactly.
it doesn't make much sense.
But that's why, because we know that everything does take long in country St. Martin, I think it's a good time that there is no activity, that these laws are presented so they can walk the trajectory that they have to walk. So by the time that the time reach that we have to we take office, that we sit down in office, that we can propose these laws and bring them to table and say, hey, we have presented this law, we would like this law to be tabled now.
Yeah.
So to that extent, sometimes people think you're doing things for to get votes, or is a political strategy and things like that. I believe now is the time. It's the right opportune time, especially with all what is going on with the coal and the different other inactivities and wrongdoings that you're seeing. It's highlighting more that the laws that are on country St. Martin is lacking.
But let's go back a little bit, because here you have the Netherlands Antilles no longer existed after October 10, 2010.
Yeah.
Curacao has always been there. It's been central to the Dutch.
Yeah.
And they've had hundreds of years of experience. Here you have St. Martin now, 12 years now.
12,
But something
almost 12.
bothers me. When I speak to lawyers, some of them tell me, well, certain laws were never really brought over to St. Martin. And when you look at the type of law, it would be very beneficial to St. Martin.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering now, are we that smart to really shaft our own people? I can't understand that one at all.
Yes, it does make you wonder, Mr. Gibbs, if the public only knew the laws that that we can just introduce them back, that are beneficial to the country, that will put the country in a way better position. I think it will be an eye opener for the public to know why these laws were not brought over. And my other thing is, with the governments that are sitting years after years, they are seasoned politicians. So I would say that, what is the reason behind of it? Why it is you're not bringing over these laws? Because those laws were there already. It's not that
Exactly.
you are inventing the wheel. This that I'm bringing forward is not an invention, Mr. Gibbs. It's something that has been there. We are tweaking it a little bit to suit country St. Martin.
Exactly.
The only thing that I'm putting extra is that I want it to be more towards the youngsters, to the younger generation, in the sense of, you want to get them off the road and give them that opportunity and expose them to the working experience. It's not fair that they finish with graduation. A lot of energy goes into that, and that at the end of the day, when they go seeking for job, is either because of not having the amount of years of experience, or because maybe so-called they are not suitable for the job, that they do not get that exposure. Then they are never going to get that exposure. Now, I am not saying that a child that maybe graduated as an artist or a painter, that you're going to let that child execute a job for a nurse, for instance. I am not saying that. I am saying that let's stop the hypocrisy of coming with these nice big names for different functions, that maybe it's just a simple customer service that you are needing, or maybe a agent or something like that. Let's be fair and try to eradicate the unemployment amongst our youngsters by giving them the opportunity, at least. And I would say that frontliners, yes, there are certain things that specific functions need. Like, for instance, if you're dealing with a customer service rep, they need to be at least have the affinity to deal with people. They need to be patient. They need to have patience. It have certain things that you will say, hey, I still want these type of qualities in the candidate. But it cannot be that certain functions that do not require a specialty, that you cannot give a person that has graduated with a bachelor degree in certain levels, that you cannot give that exposure to them if you line them up based on what they have studied, to give them that opportunity.
So then, with your proposal to law, what's the ratio in terms of what percentage you want in a company that should be local or native born? Explain that, please.
Okay, when we talking, it's a very a touchy subject. When you call local, you have the term that people does use. You have to be born on country St. Martin. You have to understand, Dutch nationals are considered to be all the former Netherlands Antilles. So you have people that are born on country of Curacao, Aruba, you have Statia, you have Saba, because we have all those that came here as well, that contributed to the economy and the well-being of the country. And they get children here, children were born here, and things like that. So I would say that when you are talking about defending your own, I mean, in the sense of, if you find a job and you have a function, you have a vacancy, and you get it filled in by a working permit, that already tells you that it is a foreigner, and there should be people, students and people that are here, that have the passport and all of this, and that has the right, that are unemployed, that's supposed to be coming first in line, that are unemployed, as long as they fit to the criteria. So that's what I mean with that. Any jobs that you have to sign work permits, you have to check and see first, hey, is there any one of my people that are available here that can get that job? It's an extension to what we have proposed already, which was the Pamela policy. It's an extension to that. It has not finished, Mr. Oral. It's not finished. It's far from finished. But I was going to discuss some figures that I got from the internet with you, from the Chamber of Commerce. It's the report, the annual report 2021. And it's showing here that operational engagements for the year 2021, we have 773 new businesses that have been registered. No.
That's during the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic. No. From those 773, they are splitting it up in the different sectors that it have, how it was split, right? You have the general service sector. You have the retail sector. The general service sector is 187 businesses. Retail sector is 75. You have construction is 65. Bar and restaurants is 60. And you have foundation. I don't worry too much with the foundation. Is 64. You have real estate sector is 50. And you have 50 new business by sector from January to December 2021. And then you have transport and logistics sector 29. Mr. Gibbs, if these figures are real, right, and I do not believe that they are going to be inflating these figures and put it on the net, so I trust the figures are good. It have other categories as well, like beauty salon. I do not consider it's something that you should take into account when talking this law. But when you take these figures like this and you start applying what it is I am proposing, you are going to cause an impact on the society, a positive impact. Because if you take one worker per this business, right, at minimum wage, you are not only helping thousands of households, because sometimes one household does take care of 3 other households. You are already causing an impact on the social development, the social aspect. You are causing an impact on the children's life. You are causing an impact as well on the fact that they will be able to do loans. As much as we want to say it's not enough for a mortgage, but it takes you a long way, because if you know how to manage your money, eventually you will be able to reach to a loan. It takes you a long way for you to put money aside, for you to at least start doing educational something, to to put money aside and continue with your studies. It goes a long way. It's better than having nothing and do not be dependent on someone else to give you the handout and things like that. So when you see these figures, the impact, and I did a very small calculation based on the minimum wage, you are talking about, you are making an impact of 13 million at least per month. And when you do the taxes that they are contributing as minimum wage, you're already talking about 1,000 something in the coffers, because these are registered people on the country. They are not foreigners. So by taking alone these, imagine the existing companies that it have there already. So it's not something that you're going to apply from today to tomorrow. It starts somewhere. And it have its trickle-down effect that is positive. And I think as a business sector, for the different business sectors that are registering, sometimes you have to come with requirements, in the sense of a lot of business are registering and they're bringing in their own people, and that also takes away.
Why do you think they're doing that?
Because it's a cheaper labor. It's cheaper labor is one, especially in the construction firm. And then you also have that basically sometimes the expertise. Sometimes they consider that they are customer working with their own, let's say with their own people, so they know how and what they can deliver. The productivity is higher than, when they work with someone that they do not know. Sometimes on the other end, you also find that one that's spoiled for the other as well, because you have those that are
Yeah.
lazy and they do not work, or when they finish collecting that first salary, you don't see them for 2 3 days, and then they come.
Yeah.
It have many things that that are a reason why certain things has happened. But at the end of the day, the government still have to put stipulations in place in order to guard and guide the country in the direction that you want it to go.
When you take a look at the real estate companies you mentioned, 50. When you work for a real estate company, you work on a commission.
Yeah,
So if you don't sell, you don't get anything.
exactly. That's why I didn't consider the real
Most of our
estate.
people are not going to consider construction now. It's an area where if you go back 30, 40 years ago, it was mainly our people.
Yeah.
That has changed. And we hear a lot of people speaking about NEPA and training our people. That's good. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But when a guy comes from Guyana, Jamaica, and he goes to a construction company, and they can pay him $25, $30, $35 a day, a local tradesman is going to want $85 or $100 a day.
Yeah.
That is one of the areas where you find our construction companies decide, well, we're not going to hire anyone from here. And in the long run, our people just get frustrated and just drop out of it.
Yeah.
Welders, we had a time when many guys were leaving here with LTS, going to Curacao, all over the stuff to be a welder.
Yeah.
And when they came back to St. Martin, some guy came from somewhere else, doesn't know a goddamn thing about welding, but he's welding and he's getting the job, and you're not getting the job because he's charging
Lesser.
way lower than you, because he come from a country where you put the exchange between their currency and ours.
Exactly.
It's a huge difference.
That's where it comes, but that's where it boils down to. But is their way of living as well, which is going to permit them to be able to accept that, because majority of the time you have the Dominicans, which is from Santo Domingo, the Dominicans, the Jamaicans that you mentioned, they will live in a group, eh? They will share one apartment for maybe the 3 to 4 of them. So that already is lowering the cost because everybody is contributing into the rent. They will share the food. They will not go splundering and things like that. So if they have to eat plantain like a whole month and things like that, they will eat it, but send the remaining of the money overseas. But you have also that sometimes these, I would say the other nationality, they are very well trained as well, and because of the fact that sometimes they have to work really for them to be able to survive, they have that mentality as well. So they will work, they will give you like a 9 hours job in a 7 hour time frame. I am not saying that our locals are not like that. You have those that are really hard workers, because I know some of them, I know many of them, that they will put in the work, but they want as well, you have to remember now, Mr. Oral, they are here and the cost of living of St. Martin is very high. For a minimum, you need to have at least $1,500 for you to live, and that's excluding rent, for you to be able to live like a decent, especially if you have children. You have to pay water, you have to eat, you have to pay school fees, you have bus, phone. I mean, we have to be realistic as well. And the minimum wage is not cutting it. So it have many ways that we can tell our people to cut costs. But on the other end as well, government have to start doing something to the minimum wage. I think it's about time that they do something with the minimum wage. But they also have to do some more on price control. And they have to set certain parameters when it comes to the rental of the different places. So it has so many things that you have to deal with.
There's where the problem comes in, Scott, because when you talk about rent control, I tell people, I'm in real estate. I tell you what, you know how much it costs to get a guy to come and just fix a toilet?
Yep.
Or an electrical problem? And so it's extremely expensive
Yeah.
to build a house, very expensive. The same guy that's working there, the same one that's complaining that he's not being paid well. And if you pay him more, the price also goes up.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle. And when you start to talk about rent control, look at the island right now. In the next 5 years, this place is going to be flooded with real estate.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's going to be empty. Because we overexpand ourselves on this small little island. So I think it's very easy to say, well, I'm going to control rent, but it's not necessary, because right now there's a lot of places, homes and apartments still are not rented out. And you ask yourself, where these people staying? I know where they're staying. Exactly what you said a while ago. They're all in one little group. So you think you're helping the economy. You're actually hurting your own people that need to work, because again, it goes back to business. Who are going to hire these people and not your people? So if you put the minimum wage at 10,000 guilders, it still isn't going to work, because these people are going to take the job for 2 guilders.
Yeah, but that's why I say there's a combination of things, and there's a sequence of things, how we have to do things. And that's why we always have to start with providing with the generation, with the youth that is not getting anything. So I think the focus has to be there. We start in there, and eventually, when you see, because things that shift, Oral, when you start dealing with one problem and it trickles down to different other things, you can see what is the next step that you have to do. Even though we have it lined up already, what are the different steps? But when you see the impact on how, it's shifting to the different things, you say, okay, indeed, I have to take this other step. Let's take this other step. So we have a plan in place on how we're going to move about, especially the unemployment, the labor issue on countries in Martin, because that is a key component to many things that is happening: the social deterioration, the medical expenses, the welfare, the high welfare. You also have that basically the children are the ones that are basically going under this situation. So it has so many things that are that can be fixed. But when dealing with this thing, that it is important for us to deal with it and create that opportunity.
I have to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue right here with you speaking about that. All right?
Okay.
Please do this.
In order to know what you want out of life, you need to observe, listen, and try it yourself.
Promises, we can make it if we work together. That's just how it is. Let's stand strong, and serve the land. Working hard as one nation. Yes, we can.
The more difficult it is to achieve, the more satisfying it is to make it.
Just believe in us, we'll see you through it all. Oh, never give up. Oh, never give up. We can make it.
Never forget those who were there for you. And if you dream big, you might just achieve it.
The power to serve, standing for community. OGB got the power to serve, the power to serve. We got the energy. OGB.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net.
My guest here on the Oral Gibbs Live is former Minister of Fisher, Mrs. Gordon Carty, and she's my guest here on the Oral Gibbs Live, and we're speaking with her about the proposed law to encourage business to hire more local people now, young local people.
Young
In other
local
words, what, age 17 to 24, something like that? You
Yes, 18 to 26. It's not that we are leaving the 27th and higher out, because people will believe, oh, but what happened to those that is 27
true.
and higher? No, but what we are noticing is that age group is when you finish study. You understand? And you want to capture that group that is graduating,
Right.
and don't come back and get frustrated after they have finished graduating. So it's not that we do not consider. Yes, it have those that finish study with 27 or 28 or 29, but the age group is from 18 to 26 that either they finish graduation or they finish school, and for one reason or the other they did not continue with the studies. And you don't want them to fall in that gap, oral, that they get frustrated, that the system in helping them. You don't want a society that is prone to mental, downfall. So that's why that age bracket. So that's the main focus right about now.
I don't know if I spoke with you about this a year ago, what have you. I was told by someone very knowledgeable that we had a number of local people that went abroad to study. They got their advanced degrees to the master's degrees in hospitality.
Yeah.
And they can't find employment in St. Martin.
That is that, and those are the things that sometimes I just wonder, Mr. Oral, with all of the type of names that we are inventing for different function, right? You want to tell me that we cannot place people with these type of degrees in one of these functions that you are basically creating? It's just beyond me. Sometimes I do not understand the amount of work that is being put in just not to give the people the opportunity, and sometimes that's why I believe if it cannot be done in a simple way, then if that's not the way the society is going to operate, then let us as government put some laws that all you need to follow. If we giving away the leeway to do the right thing and it's not happening, then I guess we have to do it in a different way.
So then you come back now to your proposal, right? Do you have a number in saying 20, 30, 40, 50? Is there a number that you would like to see for work, compare outsiders to local natives?
Well, like I always had say, it's supposed to be 80-20. I would say 80-20 is what we supposed to be using in our on country St. Martin.
So 80 is for?
80 is for locals, for our own, and 20 is for foreigners. But it all depends from the sector as well, because it have certain sectors, I would say, because of us not sending out so much of our students to study on that particular level, in that particular sector, you might not find that we have a pool that we can, take out those type of expertise out from. And then in that case, once you can prove it, I will say, okay, fine. Then you don't use the 80-20, you use 60-40.
But some people will say, why should there be a quota? Look, I was born here. Why should I need a quota to get a job with someone that came from abroad? And I can see people questioning that also.
Well, you will always find that, Mr. Oral, but the reality of the matter is that if you do not have enough teachers from your own, you have to import them. What we have to start doing, and I have a list that I will be making publish of what are the different sectors and what are the different students that we have to send out for them to study certain things. And that I believe that the study financing have to finance those in order for us to have that pool for in the future. I'm going to provide that list, and I'm going to propose that as well to the government that, hey, if we are moving in a certain direction as a country, this is what we will be needing. I would expect, I'm proposing for the student financing to start providing student finances for these and these and these sectors. These are the type of functions that we need in order for us not having to be signing off work permits or importing from
You
overseas.
see, Miss Carly Gordon, let me, many years ago, I was a big advocate for local young people getting employed. I used to tell young people, if you can't find a job, come to me.
Yeah,
And I'm going with you and I'm going to kick down that door. You're going to get a job.
yeah,
Okay? Then my children grew up. And one is a lawyer, came back to St. Martin as a lawyer, couldn't find work. Brilliant young woman.
Yeah.
Went to Leiden University with 2 masters from Leiden, 1 from Amsterdam. Couldn't get.
Yeah.
Have a little daughter, medical doctor. Another one they're afraid to come back to St. Martin because they saw what happened to the sister. And everywhere you turn in this island, it seems like we are saying that we want to have our people back. We are saying that we want to have them working, but it's not happening. And our young people, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're seeing that. A lot
That's
of young
true.
people don't even want to waste time to go and study anymore because one said to me the other day, I ain't got a job anyway.
no,
I'm wasting my time. And I said,
Yeah.
no, you're not wasting your time. Go and get that education. It's very
Yeah.
important. So the reason I bring this up is because I admire what you're doing. The problem is that we are talking,
yeah.
but we're only talking. We're
And
not-
that's why
there's no action.
that's where the law comes in, Mr. Gibbs, because if you leave everything open, there is no law that a law is something that you have to abide to. You know, I mean, sometimes you cannot, you don't want to force people into doing something, but if there is a problem, then we need, as a society, we have to deal with it. And there is no way the economy runs on the business sector. Whether it is small business, large business, business sector, we are the sector within the community that contributes to the welfare and the well-being of the country. So we have to step in and say, okay, let's come together. We are going to take over and assist, because at the end of the day, we might be able to send our children to study, Mr. Gibbs. They will be able to get a fine job, because out there everybody wants what is the best. They will stay there, they will get a job and things like that. But what about those that cannot be sent away, or those that want to come back?
We
What
gotta
about
take-
those?
Yeah, you're right.
We
You're right.
have to take care of them, so we have to put the laws in place in order for us to say, to maximize the opportunity of it happening.
But isn't it in the license that when you get a license that you're supposed to hire natives?
It's not in the license that you have to hire native. That's why it's not happening either. Like I said, many of the laws of the Netherlands Antilles were not brought over. I know Curacao have it, and they does reinforce it very strict.
To inspections?
Yes, Curacao people comes first. I can go Curacao right now and get a job in a high-paying ranking with my diplomas, because they will take me if it's above, if there is me and a foreigner, and
Yeah.
I have the degrees and things like that.
Aruba too, huh?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
we are like that, and that's why I feel that on Country St. Martin, the patriotism is not there, and also there is a fight amongst the people themselves. You know, there is I don't know what type of competition there is, but it's like people fighting their own.
Because we're stupid.
And
we're
that,
stupid.
and
Let me-
that as well, the mentality has to change.
I gotta tell you why. I've spent my entire life fighting for this island. While at the same time, the same people that I'm fighting for turn around and tell people, he don't like foreigners. He don't like, God damn it, I'm fighting for you. All I want is for you to have a good life in your own country.
Yeah.
And everyone can come in and have a job, have a
Yeah.
business. But you know what? We should come first.
Yes.
But you know, our people, when they hear you speaking, your own people, huh, they turn against you. So in the end, you sit back and you watch what's happening. And you say to yourself, my God, you know, I did all I could.
yeah.
And I'm not telling you this, Miss Scotty, as something I made up. anybody who knows me know what I stood for and still stand for. I'm taking it a little more quiet now because it's like wasted time.
Yeah.
Your people not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I must tell you, I've been to some business and I've met some young Simran people working. When I asked them, like, who are you? Say, oh, this is my father, this is my mother. I said, well, I know your father and your mother. And they're working in the business and they're doing well.
Yep.
So I will tell you this, when you hire a Simran person, you might get a bad one. But you might also get a good one.
Yes,
and they're the best worker you could ever have in your business.
I honestly believe that, Mr. Oral. I believe, and I have spoken with so many, and I don't even know them, but just by having conversations, and you hear and you can see the level of education, the level of knowledge sometimes, and the expertise, and you just wonder why it is they're not getting the opportunity, why they are out of jobs, and then you hear the different stories, and then you come to realize that, hey, something has to be done. You know, it might not be the perfect law or the perfect way to go about it, but at the end of the day, I do believe as business community, we have a big role to play in how the country is moving forward. Instead of being used the whole time for just taxes to, that the government is getting taxes from us, I think by us contributing into the social development of the country and also the financial cycle of country St. Martin, I believe that the government owes us that respect in giving us back something. And that's what the part of the proposal as well, where it's stating that at least that we get back 35-40% back from the total salary that has been paid to this younger one that we take in for the entire year, that we get back at least 40% from it back. Because you are given something, it's a guarantee, you can see it, you're getting money in the coffers, and that cycle continues. So I believe I believe in the proposal. I have my lawyers that I talk with, and we are going to have a panel discussion this Wednesday.
So in a nutshell, because the show airs and runs on demand, so I don't want to put dates on it. In a nutshell, what is your proposal?
The proposal basically entails that we take on the law that have in country Curacao, which was a former law from the Netherlands Antilles that has not been brought over. Country St. Martin has not taken it over. The only twist that I have put into it is that it is an age-related thing, in the sense of from 18 to 26 years, that the business community can provide this age group with the opportunity to get a job. It doesn't have to be a job like a manager or things like that, unless the person is seeking for a manager and the student graduated in that level, to give them that opportunity. Do not go and look for somewhere else because of somebody that you need with experience. Give it have different scenarios again, but to give the graduates the opportunity to get that exposure within the business. And so it can trickle down to the social development of the country, to the contribution into the coffers. You have a better control as well, because then you're not dealing with illegals. And also that we as a community is giving back to the community on a level that is more effective. And in return, that the business community get that partial reimbursement of the yearly total paid out salary. Get it back as a tax deduction. So you balance it out. We are helping the government in one end, but the government as well, by putting this law in place, is helping the social development, the country on a whole, and helping the government themselves. And on the other end, also give a pat on the shoulder to the business community for being there for years, contributing to the financial cycle.
Well, you've been doing a remarkable job from the time you've been minister, that people heard about you and saw you on this program and other programs, and I hope you don't get disappointed like the way I've gotten disappointed.
Yeah,
I've been around for a
I
long
can
time,
imagine.
but I think that our people need people like you to help, and I just hope you don't give up.
Yeah. I'm not planning to give up right about now. I have 2 children, Mr. Gibbs. And like I said, as much as us maybe that can send our children overseas to study, there is still, you have to still remember those that are staying here. What is the opportunity? Where, they don't have nowhere to go. So we have to set the stage ready for them, because at the end of the day, you want them to be able to take over.
Yeah.
Those that are sitting there for years, they do not want to get up from the chair because it's so sweet. They have to make some room for the new generation to start taking over. And if we have to put laws in place in order for that to happen, we put that in place. But certain things we don't have to rewrite anything, because the laws are there. We take them over, we tweak them a little bit. So it's not supposed to be taking so long, because if the laws were there already, Mr. Gibbs, so that means to say they have passed the test. It's just to tweak it a little bit. You're hearing a lot of negative comments, but people will always come with negative comments because, one, either they want to take out, they're thinking that you're doing things for political reason, for political mileage. Others are thinking that you are doing it because you want to be in the spotlight or you want to do something. But at the end of the day, I just always say, my main focus and where I get my bread from for me to feed my family is being an accountant. And I start off my business with the age of 20 years. And that is where I always continue to go back. And because of that, I can see.
You just have 20 seconds.
Where the hole is within the system. And that's what I'm working on.
Well, I want to thank you and wish you much success. And we can have you back again sometime later on to see how things are going. All right?
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Gibbs.
And that's it for now. See you next time right here on Oral Gibbs Live. Till then, take care. Bye.